gave my life to Christ for the first time when I was 11. Rededicated my life when I was 19. And I think 21, I redid it again at 21. Never thought it was, every time I felt like, I kind of let myself get too far out there and forgot where I was, I would just come back and redo it all over again. I think my freshman year, I met this guy, and he seemed like a really cool guy. He even had the enemy is something. I mean, this guy was talking like he went to church, and he gave the whole, the whole picture that he was this really, great guy. And so we started going out. And then somewhere in the course of time, everything kind of got like real, physical or whatever you want to call it, or he started getting closer. He started like uncovering who he really was, and he was this guy that just wasn't, he was a toxic person, but I was already so emotionally vested that it was hard to kind of leave the person alone. But it was tearing me apart. I was just kind of getting torn down, and I was like, my self-worth was dropping, self-esteem was dropping. Everything was just, I was just going through a lot of stuff, and couldn't really figure out how to get myself out of the situation. He finally just got moved out of my way. I mean, I'll be honest with you, sometimes a lot of times we're not even strong enough to get away from certain situations. God moved the guy. He ended up transferred to a whole different school. I did end up meeting someone years later and getting married years later and having, family and everything. But in the undercurrent of that, there were a lot of similarities between that guy and the other one. There were other similarities, and I tell you that there were just times when I would feel my worst. That there was always a song that would come on, and I feel like God would just have a song play that just would remind me that I need Him. So I was like, I know this is what I'm missing. So what ended up happening was the marriage that I was in ended. I left. I took my two children and the king back to Philadelphia, and I needed a church. So he picked me up, came to Sharon, and I was just like, okay. Pastor Reed was preaching when I came, and I'll never forget that Pastor Reed, I would just say that he preached so prophetically. Like, it seemed like he knew exactly what was going on with me without ever knowing me. The word that he gave seemed like it was the exact word that I needed exactly right then. And I was like, okay. So I went another Sunday, and same thing happened again. And then I went another Sunday, and this time he preached about something that literally had just happened in the car on the way in. And I said, you know what, God, this man is like literally preaching like he is sitting somewhere and got cameras somewhere. Like, how does he know? How did he know? Like, I know you're talking to this guy. So that was one of the reasons why I ended up at Sharon.